We're getting towards the end of gun season here. We only have 1 day left. Now, I haven't filled my tag yet, but it really has been a great week. I think that all things considered, not going out there and actually filling a tag yet, I really couldn't ask for a better week. I've been able to spend a lot of time on my property. Honestly, we got snow at the beginning of gun week. I've been able to hunt up on the top of my ridge with a very low impact access route and hunt in that same area pretty much every single day, not really disturbing any of the activity that's been going on. So I've been able to see this really good picture of how the deer are using my property. Now, I know I've talked about it in previous videos. I have this really good transition zone where on the south-facing slope, there's really good bedding habitat, and then as they drop over, they start feeding on the oaks, and then they work their way down into my food plot. That activity has remained extremely consistent, even with all of this snow on the ground and not much cover. I do believe that I can credit a lot of that to just bringing in the food source and holding the deer in the area, and then leaving that back part of my property completely unpressured. But that same movement pattern that I've noticed since I first moved into this property is still going to be consistent. So I'm really excited for what the off season has in store, how I can start to build my projects around this movement so I can have some really good hunting opportunities throughout more parts of the property. But I've seen a lot of bucks, I've seen a lot of does. The bucks that I've been seeing are these consistent 2-year-old good 8 points that I have all over the property. I think I have 5 or 6 different ones that have been here throughout the fall, and there's been a consistent group of 2 to 3 of them hanging around in the later part of the season. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to catch up to any of these bigger, older bucks that were on my property earlier in the year. They're coming around very sporadically, but with this really good vantage point that I have on top of my property, I can see them as they're crossing over. I only have 1 day left to hunt. I hope that they're in the area. Hopefully by next week, I'm talking about filling my Ohio tag, but for now, we're still out there. We're still grinding away. And as we wrap up the gun season, this is a really good time for me to kind of key in on that video that I posted last week about those different gun season strategies. How if you have 7 days, 3 days, or just a single day to get out there to try to fill your tag, well, I'm burning down to that final day now. I only have 1 day to get out there, but I've spent the week kind of tweaking, bouncing around, moving to where I have that best vantage point, where I have the lowest impact access, and I have it really dialed in. If there are deer that are going to use my property the way that they are using it in the wintertime, the tree that I'm going to be hunting out of for most of the day tomorrow, I'm going to be able to see those deer cross over. Now, a lot of the activity is actually transitioned from the evening to the morning, so I plan on climbing up to the top of the hill first thing in the morning and trying to catch that transition as they head back to that bedding area. So we'll see if next week I have a good report for you guys. Now, real quick, let's go ahead and talk about the game plan of what I'm going to do if I don't fill my gun tag tomorrow and I have to get back into that late season bow hunting mode. Now, that late season bow hunting is an absolute grind no matter where you're at, but honestly, trying to kill a late season whitetail in hill country has to be one of, if not the hardest way to go about doing it. Now, my property just honestly doesn't set up that great for late season hunting right now. I have a lot of work in order to get it to that point, but any of the activity, any of the hunting that I'm going to be doing with the bow is going to be centered around my food source because I have the lowest impact access where I can get in and out of that food source, and it gives me that reliable destination to build this plan around where I can get a secure, actual good hunting location away from where the deer are spending a majority of their time crossing over from that transition zone. But I'm only going to be going out there if the conditions align. Now, one of the things that was actually surprising to me with this snow that we got on the front end of the gun season was that deer activity wasn't really what I was expecting it to be. There was actually a full day-and-a-half period from when we got that first initial snowfall until a deer even stepped foot in my food plot. This was based off of trail camera footage, but also me hunting over that food plot, anticipating them to be there. There wasn't a single track in the food. And this even included the area that I went and dug out where you could actually see the green from the food plot sticking out, still no deer showing up. So with that in mind, I know that I like to talk about trying to target our food source hunts around these temperature drops, around these snow events, whatever it may be. Now, one of the things that I do notice is that when it gets cold, but there's not snow related, not this big significant temperature drop, but just a little bit of a drop, that is when my activity around my food plot really starts to pick up. So honestly, just with my work schedule getting busy as I'm starting to do my property visits and just not really having the time to get out there, that is really going to be my main focus for this late season bow hunting activity. I would love to get out there and try to get on a late season buck on the public land, but just to be honest, it's just not really going to be in the cards for me as I get back into the busy season of my year. And then getting into that working side of things. Now, I know that I put together these hunting vlogs throughout the entirety of the fall, and I really wanted to transition that into starting to do these weekly type of videos, breaking down some information on my consulting visits. I think that there's a lot of valuable information I learned from scouting so many properties that I would absolutely love to be able to share with you guys. I've been working on finalizing what exactly that's going to be like, but with me having 2 property visits this week, I'm going to start putting those out next week. So I've been taking some notes on how exactly I can piece these videos together in a way that's going to provide you guys value, keep you updated, so that way you can go out there on your own properties and improve them throughout the winter, and hopefully we can all have a much better, more successful hunting season in 2026. And to wrap things up here, just a quick little update on the content and the brand side of things. Here on the YouTube channel, like I said, going to start trying to put out those weekly videos, breaking down some tips and tricks from the consulting visits, wrapping up the hunting season as long as I'm out here grinding it out, trying to fill this Ohio tag. And then, of course, those weekly edited videos for you guys that's taking a deep dive into some topic. I got one coming out on Monday that's just talking about the 2025 deer season in general. If you didn't have the season that you wanted to and you're looking to make significant changes in 2026, this video is going to be for you guys. So be sure to stick around for that video drop on Monday here on the channel. And then other than that, going to start posting those modules from the courses that I was telling you guys about here in the previous week's vlogs. I have a couple of courses that are coming out. One that's just going to be centered around learning deer in general and all of the different types of habitats, the hill country, the farm country, the marsh country, the big timber settings, whatever it may be, figuring out how to identify the bedding areas, the feeding areas, and the travel routes, and then stand locations in each and all of those habitats. The other course that's coming out over in the SKOOL community is going to be around my whitetail habitat blueprint, how exactly I'm setting up these properties. I think that's going to come out at a really good time now that everybody's wrapping up the season, taking an assessment on their property, and really making that game plan for a strong start into the 2026 off season. So be sure to keep an eye out for all of that. Thank you guys again so much for sticking around, following with the brand. I still really enjoy putting this content together. I've enjoyed throughout the entire fall getting the stories, the pictures sent in from all of you on all of the success you have from some of the tips that we're sharing here. We're definitely going to keep the momentum rolling into the off season. So thank you guys again, and we'll see you in the next one.